Hello? Hey there, it's Dave from At the Wheels. Thank you for checking this out. So something dramatic has happened in the At the Wheels world for good old Dave here. And let me explain it to you. So if you look over in this big empty spot in my very messy garage, and you also can see the wheels and tires for my X3 M40, which is sitting right behind me, a vehicle that I absolutely love. It is phenomenal, a lot of power, a lot of fun. But it is not the vehicle that used to be here, which was an F80 M3. And I love that car. I mean, nothing negative I can say about that car. I've owned multiple M3 generations, the E36, a couple different E46s. I've been able to drive all the different generations. They're all phenomenal cars. Really love that F80 though. But I did have to replace it. So this little M hat I got here, got the M Motorsport. And yes, this is an M40, but we all know this is not a real M car, even though it's excellent. Love driving it. So I may have to do some retiring of this stuff, or at least, put it away for a while. So what did I replace it with? Well, let me show you. Ta-da! No, I didn't replace it with rose bushes. I replaced it with this. The 2018 Carrera GTS in lava orange. And please excuse my road. It is one of the busiest streets in all of Connecticut. Yes, this replaced the beautiful white, mineral white F80 M3. And it is an astonishing car, which I will get out on the road and drive for you. Give you a little bit of insight into the sounds, the power, but it is quite the car, let me tell you. Quite the car. I love it. I love to look at it. I love to sit in it. I love to film it, which is actually, this is of course video. There's a guy over there, one of the farmers driving by. We have a lot of farmers out here, tobacco season. Anyways, there's my F-150. So yeah, there it is, the 2018 CPO. I actually extended it, got a 3-year warranty because I am fully committing to this car for quite some time. Had 8,400 miles on it when I got it. I believe it's just about to crack 11,000, and this is in less than a month. I have been driving this car because I absolutely love it. So let's talk about the inside a little bit, and then we'll take it out for a little spin-a-rooney. All right, so let's talk about the interior of the 991.2 Carrera GTS in lava orange. And as you can see, we'll talk about the steering wheel in a second, but this is a very black, very, kind of bland interior. There's no GTS stitching. These are not, obviously, as you can see, these are not like orange seat belts. There's none of that, orange stitching, nothing like that. It's just very basic. I'm considering getting some of the cocoa mats, the orange and black checkerboard. I've seen a lot of guys do it on the newer cars, and it actually looks really, really cool. So let's talk about the steering wheel for a second, because obviously this is nothing factory or Porsche branded. So I ran into a gentleman with a Ferrari, the 430, and he had this actual thing on there. He had a yellow version that matched the yellow car. And when I first saw it, I was kind of snickering and laughing, but you know what? The more I looked at him, like, it actually looks pretty good. He told me about the link and where I could find it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. And what it does, it gives the wheel a real meaty feel to it. I would not use it on track days because obviously there's, a disparity between, it's not like a cover, it's not all one size. It's, the wheels here and then you hit the little bump here because it's a snap-on fake carbon fiber. I just like the way that it looks. It gives the cabin a little bit of that orange flare. And the funny thing is that these were really, really cheap things that somebody was raving about that I'm not a big fan of, these seatbelt covers. I'm probably gonna take these off. But I also, if you look back there, maybe do it this way. There's some crap on the seat, but these are dog beds for those little dogs I got there.
Yes, hello, I'm Hendrix.
And I'm Zippy.
So I don't know if they'll be riding in the car that often in these beds because they'll probably just chew them to shit. But adds a little color. So yeah, I'm on a real big orange kick. Yes, I'm one of those assholes who has a hat and a pair of sunglasses that matches his car. And there's one on my shirt. And guess what? Look at my sneakers. Look at those sneakers. Are you kidding me? I don't even know if you can see them, but there we go. I think you see them. So anyways, this sort of originated because I saw at a Cars and Coffee an older gentleman with a brand new GT3, 22 GT3, and he was dressed all in blue to match I think it was shark blue GT3. So I said, you know what? When I get this 911, if I get it, and I did, I am going to wear a bunch of orange shit to match the car, or whatever the car color would be, which ended up being lava orange. So that's me now. A lot of orange stuff. So yeah, I'm an asshole. So I'm kind of just trying to splash some color into this cabin. But yeah, so, you know, you've seen 911s before and a lot better videos than I'm making here. And you probably have seen all the features. So we don't need to get into all that stuff. It's a cool cabin. The technology's great. But what this car is really all about is driving. So let me show you a little bit more of the exterior stuff, and then we'll get on driving. So you'll hear a lot of people bitch and whine about these center lock wheels, and they'll say, oh, you're gonna be so upset you got those center lock wheels, eh? A big pain in the butt to get them off. First of all, I don't really work on my own car, certainly not on a car that costs like $150,000. I mean, I can't even get toast out of the toaster half the time. So I'm not going to be one doing any of that kind of, you know, significant work. So, you know, my boys over at Munich or Mosante Motorsports is a great place over in South Windsor, Connecticut. Autobahn out in Simsbury. There's a lot of great shops that have the tool and the, you know, the know-how to get these wheels off. So I'll leave that to them. But the funny thing about the black wheels is I never liked black wheels. Honestly, I'd even say about a year ago, I pretty much hated them. But on this car, I don't know what it is, man. It just looks so good. There's no denying that the fact you don't have to do a lot of cleaning is certainly great. I keep the car pretty, you know, tip-top shape, but yeah, don't have to do much. Just kind of let that brake dust build up a little bit before you have to wash them down. But yeah, so center locks, I think they look great. I think they give it a cool look. And no matter what Nick Murray says, GTSs are still freaking awesome. So let's take a look at some more of the exterior. So the GTS, as you may know, comes with the wide body, regardless if you do the four or the two-wheel drive. This is the rear-wheel drive, but they all have that wide ass, which is, you know, never a bad thing. Let's just be honest. So yeah, love the look of it. I just, you know, the 911 shape, that classic, those classic lines it's got is just, I mean, it's timeless. I mean, a million other people have said this before me, but come on, it's an absolutely timeless look. And the orange and the black wheels, I don't know, I've been drooling over this car ever since I got it, and I don't think it's going to stop, to be honest. Another little detail that I never would have thought I cared about, but I actually like that it has the GTS markings on there. I was actually looking at a red Carrera 4S, and it had the same thing. It had the stickers that said, you know, Carrera 4S, and I don't know. I actually kind of dig it. I thought I might think it was cheesy, but then again, I have a snap-on fake orange carbon fiber thing on my steering wheel, so what do I know about cheese? All right, so off we go here in the 2018 Carrera GTS. That's the little beep warning there. My dogs, I'm just waving to my dogs. They're in the window. Got a couple pugs. They're out of their mind, but they're adorable. So yes, here we go, off in the GTS. Hopefully, I shot a little video before doing this, and the sun was so intense, it was kind of coming into the cabin, making things look a little tricky on the camera. So hopefully this isn't as bad, as it's still a little bit overcast. But you know, initial driving impressions, and I'll do a startup video if I haven't done it already. If you want to know where I'm going to cut this in the edit, but I will do it so you can hear the exhaust a little bit and stuff, because you probably won't hear the car a lot, you know, in the actual video here, because, you know, a GTS, unlike a GT3, there's a lot more sound deadening material, that kind of thing. So, but it is a sport exhaust in the GTS standard, and it does sound fantastic, especially as you get into the higher RPMs and really get on the throttle. But initial driving impressions of this car are coming from a number of M3s that I've owned and other sporting type cars and, you know, sport SUVs, that type of thing. This car is so incredibly comfortable. I mean, the seats, you know, the going over bumps or expansion joints, any of that stuff, even in sportier settings with the suspension, it's very, very comfortable. It never loses its way. It never gets off track. But I think the key thing is just if you're driving it around town, you know, if my wife's driving it or if she's a passenger, she's really not bothered by it at all. Like, it just, you don't get tossed around the way you do in, certainly in the M3. I mean, the M3 was not horrible, but now driving this 911, I mean, it's pretty much a night and day difference. Maybe not that extreme, but if it, you know, let's say the worst possible suspension you could ever have when you're driving around town was a 0, and 10 is the greatest thing you've ever felt in your life, like a plush Lexus. I would say that the you know, the M was probably about a 6, 5.5, a 6. It definitely wasn't bad, but you know, this is like an 8. I mean, solidly. This is really, really comfortable. So you know, it's a car that you can just leave in normal mode or even in sport mode and not worry about, you know, again, you're just going to be uncomfortable in the cabin. Obviously, I know there's a lot of different types of seats you can get. So some, like the carbon buckets, I believe you can get those in here as well. You know, those are going to be less comfortable, but these seats are absolutely great. These are like the, you know, the leather with the fabric insert kind of stuff, or the, you know, the fabric in the middle. And I can't say enough about the comfort. So if you're considering it, that it might be an uncomfortable car because you're coming from something else, just scratch that off the list. It's a very easy car to drive. Now, the other thing that's cool about this, like I have it in sport mode right now, and I'm just driving down the road, and you know, not accelerating hard. I got it in, it's in automatic mode. It's 5th gear. It's about 2,200 RPM. You know, you're never going to know that this isn't just a, you know, a decent, cool car that you're driving. You know, you're not feeling like it's this really like explosive acceleration just waiting to take off. You know, it's not loud. It isn't a car that you feel like, okay, this really just wants to be going 150, you know, at all times. But if, let's just make sure we're in a safe spot here. If you get on it, you know, let me tell you, I mean, it responds immediately, and this is an automatic mode. I prefer using the paddles most of the time, but in a situation like this, recording, whatever, obviously we're leaving it in automatic mode, but it's in sport. But you know, you just have to tip into the throttle, and those turbos in this 991.2 GTS are going to kick in quick and get you going. I saw a video from Nick Murray. He makes a great, you know, he's got a great channel. Love Nick Murray. He's from Connecticut. He's not a fan of the GTS though, so him and I are going to have to sort that out at some point. But he did mention these turbos in the 991.2 and said that he feels like there's a longer lag time. They got to spool up a little more, and he's probably right. I mean, I haven't driven the base. Well, actually, I have driven the base Carrera, and I didn't really pay attention to that to see if it was. He feels it's a little bit crisper. I think this car, I mean, any lag that's there is fairly imperceptible. It's not anything significant. But so again, initial driving impressions of this car are very smooth, very comfortable, not too loud, but definitely aggressive when you want it to be. And as I said, this is an automatic mode, so what I'm going to do is when I get into a little bit of a safer, more open spot, I'm going to use the paddles a little bit and really get on it. So I'll check back in a second. So before we get into the paddle shifters and I show you some of the insane power of this car, let's talk about one other thing about the interior, because obviously when we're driving around, you know, other than just initial driving impressions in terms of comfort and usability and sound, one of the big things is the stereo. You know, what does the music sound like? Now, I'm a huge music nut. I listen to a lot of different genres, from very extreme metal to classical to ambient and, you know, electronic music. So I definitely want to have a good stereo. This is not the Burmeister, this is the Bose, and it's I would call it good to very good. You know, maybe even leaning into very good, at least for what I need. Now, the one thing about the 911, since I got this car, is I really love to listen to the sound of the engine, and I think most people that own 911s would share in that opinion. So I have not been listening to music as much as I normally do. I'm not going to put any on now because it's not going to come across that great in the video anyway, and then I'll probably get a copyright strike, so no! Not going to worry about it. But I would definitely, from everything I've heard, at least get the Bose. It is an upgrade over just the standard stereo, but if you're a real like audiophile and you don't care so much about the driving sounds when you're cruising around, then, you know, maybe go for that Burmeister. But I would say the Bose is definitely more than adequate. So just something to consider if you're ordering a car, if you're looking at a pre-owned car. I'm very happy with it. Scale of 1 to 10, probably give it a, you know, 7.5. I mean, it's definitely not bad. All right, so I'm in manual mode right now. I'm in 4th gear. I'm slowing down a little bit because even though this is a fairly open highway with hardly any traffic ever, we do have a truck merging up here, so I'm going to be a little careful. And so right now I'm about 4,000 RPM in 4th gear in manual mode. I'm going to let it rip a little bit. I mean, this car is insane. Like, seriously, it just absolutely rips. So you can probably hear the exhaust a little bit. I mean, if I could show you the rear view there, I mean, you know, I just left a string of cars completely in the dust. What I was saying before, I don't know if I put this in the video yet, but the F80 M3 definitely felt a little bit quicker out of the hole, and I would say in the kind of in the mid-range. But I'll tell you what, I would put this GTS certainly against any car I've ever owned, and I'd say a lot of the ones I've driven as well, in the upper end. It just gets out, man. I mean, it just absolutely takes off. It's just so linear, so smooth, so quick. Yeah, there's really, in terms of acceleration, in just even in standard mode and automatic mode, it's phenomenal. But in manual mode, I mean, so here we go. Here it's wide open. There's a big sweeping turn coming up. Let me just get on it again. I mean, seriously, this car just explodes when you tip deep into that throttle. And the turn, I mean, geez. So this has the rear axle steering. I mean, this thing is just, you hate to use that expression on a rail kind of thing because it's been so overused, but it really is. I mean, if there was ever a phrase or a car designed to utilize that phrase, this is it. Just absolutely flawlessly handles, and it's just so quick. So quick. I mean, it's brutally quick. So I am back in automatic mode now, and I'm on the way to a Cars and Coffee that I go to every Sunday at Birdhouse Coffee in South Windsor, Connecticut. It's part of Connecticut Valley Brewing. They have a big car club there. There's a decent amount of Porsche guys, a lot of Euro car guys, a lot of classics, just a bunch of great people, a bunch of great cars. So I can't say enough about that event. I go every week. They also have a cruise night on Monday night. So if you're in the northish central Connecticut area, it's definitely worth it. Or if you're anywhere in the area, it's worth making a drive out for it. So just to wrap up the driving impressions, the interior and all that, I mean, this, I mean, you get a new car, you get excited about it. I mean, I've wanted to own a 911 for like 40 years. So of course I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be very enthralled by the car, but this isn't me just saying, these things because I own a 911 now and I want to feel like I'm part of the club, whatever. If I didn't like the car or there was things that were just glaring, sticking out that I was not a fan of, I'd let you know, and maybe I'd end up getting another car pretty soon. But other than wanting to ascend to either the Turbo S or GT3 at some point, I can't imagine not keeping this car for a significant amount of time. It does everything well. It sounds great. It looks great. I've got the lava orange, as you've seen. It gets a strange cross section of people that compliment this car. Like, you figure that might be a younger guy or girl, kind of thing, the bright orange. But I get a lot of people over the age of 70 that say they absolutely love this car. And if you go to car meets, you'll see a lot of orange cars like Challengers and Mustangs. So I guess it's a popular color across all age bands. So again, I just absolutely love this car.
Yeah, we get it. You love it.
If you're driving it around town, you're going to really enjoy it. If you're getting on it on the highway or you're out on the track, which I can't wait to do that soon, I just can't imagine you're not going to love this car like I do. So driving impressions, whatever, 0 to 10, I mean, I'm going to have to give this a solid 9.5. And the only reason it's not a 10 is because, have not owned a GT3 or a Turbo S at this point, or, anything like that. So we'll see where that goes. But right now, this is a solid, at least a 9.25, if not a 9.5, like I said. Awesome car. 2018 GTS 991.2, lava orange. Love it. So I'm coming up on the Birdhouse Coffee, Cars and Coffee. The sun is breaking through the clouds, which is fantastic. So I'm going to pull in here and see some friends and some awesome cars as usual. I'm a little bit early, but as you'll see as I pull in here, it doesn't matter if you're early because there's always at least a few cars here ahead of you. But this is really a great event, and it's really grown over the last couple of years. So very excited to come here and chat with some of the folks and see some more cars. And I see Pete has got his older Ferrari 328 over there. He's always here with it. Beautiful car. So anyways, I'm going to shut this off for now, and we'll try to capture a little bit more video soon.